Welcome back to Kaidu Rider, where I have a top box mounted to the seat just like this. The problem is, with some recent life changes, this is going to become my main mode of transportation, and I am going to need a passenger. So I'm going to take this off, put the top rack back, and then make this have a waterproof permanent charger. So stick around if you're interested, don't if you're not. And it's off. Now I need to empty it out and get it ready for some work. Let's start with the top rack. That's not metal, that's Loctite. And if I look sweaty, it's because my thermometer's telling me it's way over 40 and it loses accuracy over 40. But standing here in the sun on the black pavement, yeah, maybe. Tokyo. Real quick, I didn't put this on tight, but what I did is left it loose so I can pull these out in a few seconds and tilt it forward to tighten the bolts for the top box. Quick pros and cons for you to think about what's good for you. This is just over 3 kilo, and the top box is going from here to back here. So it moves weight further back, but it's not that much weight as far as top boxes go, or even bags. And this gives me space to put stuff here for a longer distance. This gives me space for my wife to be a passenger. Also, when I drop the bike, this is a much easier way to pick up the bike. Now, does this add high up, far back weight? Yes, but I doubt it'll be something you notice, and you'll get used to it after a very short amount of time. Like adding crash bars, you get used to the weight when you ride with it in isolation. But having the extra spot to pick it up, it's not a top heavy bike as far as adventure bikes go, but it's a heavy bike. The box is set back to normal. Let's see how it fits on the bike or if I need new holes. New holes it is, so I'm going to take this completely off, flip it over on top of this, and figure out the holes. This tape is close to where the holes will need to be, so I can mark the tape and drill the holes. If you want your holes not to crack, you start small, you get bigger, you get biggest. M8 is the size of the box. That's what I'll do, even though I'm probably putting M6s into it. Sorry, the size of the rack. Relatively straight. Now for the reason you are here. Some people don't seem to know this, so pull your seat off. Look right here. This pulls off, and you have a relatively, then you lose it, of course. Honda never saves money on quality, so you lose it immediately. It's a USB Type-C charger. I want the normal type because all the cables I own, but realizing now I can just pull that off, which is all the more reason to make this a permanent option. And that is plugged in. Let's put it back in the rubber sleeve. This is one of those times where I won't complain about it being too difficult and tight, because you want it to be reasonably watertight. The seat only protects from direct rain and mud and whatnot, but in electronics, even just the dampness can be a genuine headache. What you could do is you could drill a hole right here, but I'm going to see if it fits without drilling a hole first. Fits quite comfortably. This can snake its way in and be mounted right there on the inside of the box. The trick is to make it a watertight hole, so since the other charger is smaller, I'm going to pull it all apart again and drill it that size. So that's how wide it needs to be to fit this through. And just generally, I know someone's going to ask, so I will link to this and this in the description. Everything else you've seen on the bike should be in one of these other videos, but if not, I'll be getting to it in the future, so please give me time. We measure this 6. And I'm not going to clean out this hole to make it pretty because I want stuff for the glue to grip onto when I do it. But let's take this out of the heat and inside where I can focus on the glue and not sweat all over it. Hi. Oh, okay, we're back in the kitchen. Let's start by shoving the cable through. And this is just a stopper to keep crap out while it's in the box, but I have tape. I'm going to use JB Weld. JB Weld is strong, it won't pull off at any point, and it'll be watertight enough. I'm going to stick the JB Weld from the outside first, then I'll tape over this a million times. I'm sure either the 6-hour plastic type or the 24-hour metal type would work. This is the metal type because it's what I have. I find it works fine with plastic and I'm not upset about the extra strength. Black and white makes gray, so it's pretty much ready to go. From the outside, that's actually enough. The better you smear the tape in, the more flat it'll look. And this tape should have no problem coming off the JB Weld. It's hot outside, so the 24 hours should take significantly less than 24 hours. Too much tape is generally better than not enough tape. I've mixed too much JB Weld, which I tend to do. I have had issues in the past, and it ends up not being enough. But right here on the inside, I want to cake it on just a bit. I don't want it to pull through at any point in the future. As far as the inconvenience of having this cable, I have a system on another box where I can actually plug it into the box itself, so the box quick release is easy. This is going to be bolted in place, so it's not supposed to be quick release. Fun trick. Fold this like this. Hold it in your hand. Take your glove off. Don't trust one glove. No mess cleanup. Dish soap is best for getting things like JB Weld and paint off while they're wet. When they're dry, you just wait for your skin to molt. So that should be enough tape that the JB Weld shouldn't leak and nothing should move. Let's close the box, flip it over, just to be sure this doesn't move around. Tape is cheap. You could argue that all of this is relatively the cheaper option, but a little extra tape, it's worth a lot less than screwing it up, spilling wet JB Weld on important things, and your time. I guess now's the time to say nothing is sponsored in this video. It's just the stuff I picked, stuff I use. Now, I read on the JB Weld website that the smell is non-toxic. I'm not saying they're lying. What I am saying is I have a kid, so I'm going to put this outside, and I'll see you in a few hours for the next step. With the magic of editing, we are done drying. Two things. One, I switched cameras. I'm using my GoPro now. It keeps resetting because GoPros are awful. I have a different camera coming, but it's not here yet. Sorry if the sound quality is off. Sorry if anything's off. But the second thing is JB Weld. Let me get the box. So when I tell you it's done, it's cured enough to touch and feel that it's firm, but it's not done. That takes up to 24 hours depending on temperature. That's based on room temperature. It's July 20th in Tokyo. It's not room temperature, so it should be quicker, but it's been 4 hours, so the 4 to 6 part should be done. So I'm going to start peeling tape and see what we get. See, it flexed a little bit. It's a little tacky over here, but overall it's dry enough to work with. So let's peel off the inside tape. Off camera, I put a little bit behind here so nothing moves around. It doesn't look too good inside compared to outside. Not that outside looks great, but I don't care because it's a foam mat that'll go over it. I'm not going to play with it too much for the next 24 hours so it's properly cured and dried, but I am going to install it on the bike now. Just for the sake of showing, I'm using really wide washers and then rounded tops so it's barely a bump inside the box. You don't want it smashing up against your stuff when you're off-road bouncing around. Okay, so that's where the box is going to sit. Everything is only done finger tight. I'm now going to remove the rear bolts, lift it up a bit so I can get it properly tight. and then we will play with this cable, getting it where it needs to be. Having the slightly too big holes does help because I can move it around a bit and get it a little more straight if I wasn't exactly right with where I put the holes. I'm using lock nuts and everything is stainless. The box is still plastic. It's decent plastic, but it's fragile enough, so don't over tighten it, don't snap the bolt, don't crack the box. And right about now, someone in the comments section is asking about my drive recorder sticker. Do I have a drive recorder? Do Tokyo drivers think I have a drive recorder? Have I noticed tailgating dropped by over 80% since I got the sticker? Absolutely. Box is stable enough for me. Let's get the plug done. And I'm not going to put anything back in the box today because, again, 24 hours. I went to get my phone because GoPro crashed after 10 minutes of heat, because GoPros are amazing. Here's where I left off, trying to get the rubber through. Hopefully GoPro recorded something, but we'll see. Can't wait for the new camera. So I'll set this somewhere that hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing. That's enough to get it on. You can see how far it sticks out in there. Plug it before we fit the rubber. It is plugged in. I'm leaving the cap on because I just don't want to lose it in case I decide not to stick to this, because I changed my mind a lot. And there's the rubber seal. Now, this can be done with one hand, so I'll just hold it. This metal clip, I have to fit this seat through it, and we're done. Waterproof charging. And before we put the seat on, as any smart person would, or as I would, so here's a cable that I would plug into it. Now I'm filming with my phone so you can't see it, but trust me, if I turn the key on, the phone's plugged in and it is charging. And you can see, here's the cable sitting, won't touch it, picking the bike up, moving things around, won't bother it, so it should be fine. I just need to tighten up the last few bolts. Top box, very lightweight, very much waterproof, chargeable. I just plug it in back here and we're set. And I remember to put this back. GoPro made that harder than it needs to be, but thank you for watching. Kairyu Rider.